This presentation is about middle voice in Ugaritic. Ugaritic is the ancient Northwest Semitic language, which is represented by a epigraphic corpus of more than 1,050 tablets, altogether 47,000 words, written in 13th, early 12th century BC. The language of poetry in the corpus is more archaic linguistically than the language of prose. And the language is interesting because it's the major source for the historical study of languages attested later, since the 10th and 9th century, like Canaanite languages and Aramaic. Ugaritic, as other classical Semitic languages, has the system of verbal templates, so-called binyamin, and there are two derived templates derived in the basic stem in Ugaritic, the N stem, marked by the preformative N, which expresses middle voice and promotes the patient to the position of subject, and the GT stem, marked by the infix T, which is used for co-referentiality and promotes agent as subject. This study is based on a comprehensive selection of all the certain cases of the N stem in the corpus, like 71 case and GT stem 61 and 71 cases. To start with the N stem, it is used to mark unaccusative, to derive unaccusative verbs from stative verbs. For example, ara, be awake, in basic stem will be nara, become agitated, wake up. In N, it is used to derive unaccusative verbs from the dynamic verbs of motion and change. For example, ataka, to pass, will be naataka, to become old. It's also used as an accusative derived from dynamic transitive verbs, as for example, sabara, break, shatter, will be tisabara, it will be shattered or broken. And the N stem is used for medio-passive, passive verbs, also derived from dynamic and transitive verbs, like achada, collect, achadu, will be collected, or hata'a, dichta'u, will be crushed. The N stem is virtually not a test for reflexive use. There is one debated case of Adama, be read, blush or rouge yourself, and one verb which is lexicalized as process. But on the contrary, the N stem is used as reciprocal. They derived from transitive verbs by elimination of object, and the verb is used in plural or dual, like nathaka, bite, yenathikano, they bit each other. On the contrary, the GT stem is used as autobenefactive, derived from dynamic verbs by applying agent co-referential beneficiary. Then the agent is affected without being touched, or the event is focused, like amara, see, yitmaru, looked at, or harasha, practice sorcery, yachtarashu, do magic, spell magic for himself. The GT stem are used as direct reflexive of the verbs of body care, for example, as rachatsa, tirtachatsu, and is indirect reflexive of the verbs of taking and possession, like asafa, yitasafu, gather for himself. And they are used as reciprocal with the verbs of physical impact. The verbs stay in singular form and commonly with a comitative preposition, as for example, machatsa, yimtachatsu, amma. Yimtachatsu, amma, can fight with, by. And the GT stem is used for denominative verbs, as this verb derived from the number 8, to give birth to 8 sons. The GT verbs are basically very, very rare in unaccusative or anticausative meaning, usually in prose, as nasha, yitshu, to rise up. And in summary, to contrast these two stems within the middle voice domain, one may say that the and stem selects passiative, commonly inanimate subject, is intransitive and derives unaccusative, anticausative, and medial-passive verbs, while the GT stem selects agentive, animate subjects and is frequently transitive, derives autobenefactive, reflexive, and denominative verbs. This can be illustrated with some contrast derived from the same root. And also when these two different stems are applied on the verbs of motion and change, or on the verbs of state. In particular, in referring to reciprocity, so the valence decreasing passiative and stem applies symmetrical reciprocal verb in plural and dual, while the coreferential agentive GT stem applies non-symmetrical reciprocal in singular, used with a commutative preposition. They are differently distributed in the corpus. The and stem verbs are more common in prose, more than 56% of all the cases, and its medial-passive usage is almost entirely attested in the language of prose. 78% of all them are in prosaic corpus. The GT stem are more common in poetry, about 75%, and its reflexive and reciprocal usage are entirely poetic, while the sporadic unaccusative, non-agentive usages are prosaic, 73% of them. And basically, this line of development that we see in comparing prose and poetry is further illustrated by help of later dialects. So in Canaanite and Phoenician and Hebrew, we basically see the line that follows the development in the language of Ugaritic prose, while the and stem turns into main medial-passive voice and the GT stem practically extinct. While in Aramaic languages, the and stem disappears, but the GT stem becomes the main middle voice category that gradually grows into the sphere of passive voice. Thank you very much.